Are these the ultimate winter barefoot boot? Let's find out. Today, I'm going to be reviewing the VivoBarefoot Tracker Forest Escape boots. So I got these mainly for winter time. I have a different pair of VivoBarefoot shoes that I use during the summer, spring, and fall, but I decided I want to start using barefoot shoes during the winter as well. So I decided to pick up these boots and see how they're gonna withstand the winter snow, the cold temperatures, the ice, etc. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. These come in at 432 Canadian dollars, which is fairly expensive for even for a hiking boot. I do also have Solomon boots, which I used to use, which I think retail for maybe 300. So these are fairly expensive compared to a lot of other hiking boots out there. They're designed for with a wider toe box, a flat sole, and a very flexible sole. These boots come in two colors, both brown and black. Here you can see the black boot as well as the brown. In terms of sizing for these boots, I sized down one size from my other VivoBarefoot shoes. I have one of the trail knit shoes that I use in the summer, and that was basically true to size from what I would normally wear. For these, I downsized a bit. They provide a lot of room, so I think you're going to be able to downsize and still fit some pretty thick socks in these. So features of these trail boots. They come with a wide toe box, like any VivoBarefoot shoe, which is great for having the ability to splay out your toes and really engage your foot when you're walking in the snow, the ice, or just in any cold weather, really. They're built with a mesh lining so that you can have air permeate from the inside to the outside and prevent your foot from sweating or getting wet. As you can see here, there's some meshing on the tongue as well as on most of the inside of the boot, except for the heel. They are a zero drop shoe, so it's completely flat from the toe to the heel. And they are also very flexible and bendy, which is great if you're into the whole barefoot shoe lifestyle. They also come with a sole that is designed by Michelin, the same company that makes like car tires and stuff. So apparently the traction is exceptional in comparison to some of the other products that VivoBarefoot makes. And I'll discuss later how I feel about the performance of the traction and the sole of these boots. These are also made with a leather outer material. But on the website, they don't actually say that the boot is waterproof. It's just water resistant. I have found that my feet haven't really gotten wet at all. Even walking in over a foot of snow with these, my feet have not gotten wet at all. That has been with snow pants though, so no snow has come in from the top. Additionally, they do have the tongue is actually connected to the base of the boot, which is going to prevent any snow or water from penetrating through that tongue area, which is something you always want to look for if you're looking for a water resistant boot. So this is apparently water and weather resistant. However, it does need to be treated regularly as it is a leather material. So for use case, I bought these boots as basically an all-around everyday winter boot. I mainly only use barefoot shoes these days. So I was looking for a barefoot boot that looked decent, was comfortable and could fit thick wool socks, and then also I could just use on a daily basis. And these have fit that bill very well. I use it for walking my dog every day. I use it for hiking through fairly deep snow actually, and it's been pretty fine. And even just for doing daily errands, they don't look like a super technical boot, so you can really pull them off even if you're going shopping or going out for dinner or something. They aren't necessarily designed as an extreme cold weather winter boot necessarily. They are shorter, so maybe a bit above ankle height. So if you're going through super deep snow, you're probably going to either want some gaiters to attach to the top of them, or I just use snow pants a lot of the time, especially if I'm walking with my dog through some deep snow. I'll just put on some snow pants, and I haven't had any issues with snow getting in. They're also not technically made for extreme cold weather, so they're not lined with any fleece or any thick material. They really focus on the breathability of it as opposed to the warmth. I haven't found my feet getting cold at all. I usually wear like a thick pair of merino wool hiking socks with these, and I haven't had any issues with my feet getting cold. So now let's talk about the actual performance of this boot. How has it stood up to the winter conditions here up in Canada? In terms of warmth, I found these to be plenty warm. We've already gone down to a bit below minus 20 Celsius, walking through deep snow, walking on ice, and my feet haven't got cold at all in these. There's plenty of room, even when downsizing, to fit a thick pair of merino wool socks and even a sock liner if you want it under. If you do find your feet getting cold, maybe these aren't the best for you because they aren't lined or really designed for super cold temperatures. Maybe you could put on like one of those like toe warmer type things and put that there, and that would help. But personally, I haven't really found my feet getting cold at all in these. So as long as you have a thick pair of socks, I think these are fine for most weather conditions. If it's extreme cold temperatures like Arctic, minus 40 or something, maybe these aren't going to be the best for that. In terms of traction, so Michelin did create the sole, as I said before, and I have found that the traction on these shoes is extremely good. I've walked on, we had a sharp freeze last week actually, so it rained and then snap froze overnight, so everything was basically glare ice, and I've basically had no issue walking my dog in these. He'd be pulling me a bit or whatever, and I didn't really feel like I was slipping too much. You're probably going to slide a bit, obviously, so maybe you want some crampons or something in that scenario, but I found the traction on these to be really good. I'm very happy with how they're doing in the snow and ice, so if you're worried about that, I think these are really good for traction. And yeah, I definitely recommend going for a boot that has the Michelin soles. It's the first, I don't know if there's any other boots out there that actually have Michelin soles, but they have performed very well and they're still fully intact. There's no real distressing or breaking on the sole yet, so they've worked out pretty well. In terms of comfort of these boots, they're probably the most comfortable shoe or boot that I've ever had. The spacing on the toe box, I would say, is actually more than what my trail knit VivoBarefoot shoes have, which I really enjoy. So even with thick socks, there's still plenty of room for my feet to move around. There's not really any cushioning besides the thick sole, but I found them to be super comfortable. I love putting these on. They just feel really great. I've never had any sore feet from them or anything like that. So in terms of comfort, they get an A+. One of the only comfort issues I've had with this boot when I first got it was that the lacing portion here was digging on the inside of my ankle bone. So that was kind of uncomfortable. Even with thicker socks, I still found when I tied up the boot tight around my ankle, it was kind of like an uncomfortable feeling of it pressing because it's not like a very soft material. And there's also not much cushion on the side of the boot, so I really felt that. But luckily, as I've been wearing the boots, within a couple weeks of wearing them, that has completely gone away. I'm not sure if it's loosened up or my ankle bone has just gotten used to it, but I no longer have that issue, which is really nice. So one of the times when they haven't been super comfortable is I was walking through fairly deep snow, and because of how uneven it was, I felt like the flexibility of the boot was not giving me the stability I needed to walk through the snow. I haven't actually had any winter barefoot boots before. Most of the boots I've had have always had a very sturdy sole compared to these, so I'm used to just being able to walk through the snow and not having my foot bend and warp. So I don't know if that's something that it just is going to take some getting used to, walking through the snow like that, but I found oftentimes my foot might be collapsing inwards with the snow because there's not that much support and it's very bendy. So that's something to consider. Maybe try them out. If you've worn barefoot shoes and boots in the past and your foot's stronger, it might not be as big of an issue. But if these are your first pair of barefoot boots or shoes and you're going to be walking through deep snow, take that into consideration. I have found that a bit, but I'm hoping as my foot gets even stronger or I just get used to it, it's not going to happen as often. So now let's talk about the durability of this boot. When you're paying over $400 for a piece of footwear, ideally you're going to want it to be lasting at least a few years. And even I find with winter boots, they usually last longer than regular running shoes. So my hopes is that these are going to last at least 3 or 4 years to get good use out of them. And so far there hasn't been any issues. The treading is all still there. I've been using them for let's say 6 months or so, walking through the ice, the snow, even the pavement when there isn't ice or snow, and there's basically no wear at all on the bottom. So as you can see, basically everything is still intact. There's no breaking on any of the seams. One thing to consider with the durability of these is that you're going to have to be regularly treating the leather material. I haven't exactly looked into what I'm going to need. I'm assuming it's going to be a similar sort of like balm that you would use for any leather boot to maintain the leather, keep it from creasing, and maintain the water resistance. So with something like this, you're going to have to be continuously treating it, similar to like a Gore-Tex jacket, so that you can make sure it lasts a long time. Okay, I'm going to show you a quick close-up of the boot. Here you can see the toe box. You can see the sort of the leather material. I found the lace to be very sturdy and strong. It's nice for tying your boots together and they don't get undone very easily. Because they look like they're like ribbed or twisted, and that sort of helps keep your boots tied. You're able to cinch it all the way up here to keep it tight around your ankle, which is really nice. And yeah. So in conclusion, I would definitely recommend getting these boots. The price point is definitely high, and that's something that is to be expected with any of VivoBarefoot shoes. They always have a high price point. I think a lot of that has to do with it's still a niche market for barefoot shoes, and they're one of the only companies that really make a decent looking shoe. A lot of the other companies, the boots still don't really look great, which is something I care about a bit, so that's why I picked up these. I think they're worth the money. They've been super comfortable. They've been great for everything I've needed them for during the winter. And yeah, I would definitely recommend picking these up.